Welcome back to how to create a Zoom webinar that sells. This is part 2. We're going to talk about the 4 things you must have to sell a coaching program on a webinar. Let's go. Webinars are hot, and they are also a big fat waste of time if you do them wrong. It can be frustrating, it can be expensive if you don't do it the right way. So this course is all about helping you create a great webinar that works, that actually converts. Now, I've discovered over the years, I've been doing webinars for about 10 years now, and I love them. I've discovered some things that work and some things that don't. And so this video, I'm going to lay out some of the foundational elements that will really make this work for you, and what to do if you don't have these elements in place just yet. So the first thing that really helps to make webinars effective is the thing that's probably the most challenging, and that is you got to have an audience. You got to have people on your webinar or it's not going to work. And so it's great if you have a list already. Many people already do. If you have a list, yay, that's awesome, because that is where your primary focus will be. We'll be marketing your webinar to your own list. And just having a list is not enough. You need to have an engaged list of people who are actually looking forward to, excited about, interested in what you have to offer. So if you have a list that's not very engaged, I would actually recommend trying to engage that list first before you promote a webinar to them. Why? Well, if you don't have an engaged list, I'm guessing it's because you haven't been engaging with your list. You haven't been sending emails, or perhaps your emails haven't been very juicy or very exciting or very compelling to your audience. So the very first thing you want to do is to activate your list and to get the people that are the right people engaged. And I would suggest doing that by sending items of value, by sending, short and sweet offerings. One of the biggest things that I see that people do wrong, that I did for years, was sending these long newsletters like once a month. So here's my newsletter with everything in it. And most people, especially now, this was 10, 12 years ago, back then people weren't paying attention, even less so now. So my recommendation is to send short stories, quick snippets. Here's a quick tip, here's a quick strategy, here's a quick story of what happened to me. And one of the things that, I've shared this before, so you may have heard it, but I was shocked when my absolute most opened email, almost of all time at this point, is still one that I wrote years ago called "What Happened When I Quit Drinking." People on my list were interested in learning about me as a person, as a human, and this, whatever they perceived from that title. So I invite you to consider engaging your list with some more personal outreach, more personal connection, rather than just dumping a whole bunch of information on them. First thing you need is an engaged list. Now, let's talk about what you do if you don't have that. Well, if you don't have that, then one of your goals could be, and I recommend that it actually be, to build your list, to build an engaged list of people. So there are a lot of different ways to do that. I'm not going to dive deeply into this, but your webinar can actually be a way to build a list by putting it out there, putting it out on your social media, by partnering with others that can promote your webinar with you and for you, by reaching out to people and even calling them and texting them and saying, hey, I've got a masterclass coming up, right? Because in the first video, we talked about naming it something that's more exciting than just a webinar. I've got a masterclass, I've got a live training, online, a virtual training, a virtual workshop coming up. I'd love for you to be on it. And actually getting people to attend that you think would be right fits for whatever you're selling on the webinar. Another way to build your list is through telesummits. You can do virtual events. Telesummits are where you partner with other people in your space who don't compete with you, and you invite them, you feature them on your virtual event in exchange for them promoting the event, and you get all the registrants onto your list. If you're curious to hear more about telesummits, you can check out totallytelesummits.com. That is my client my friend, my colleague, Leanne Marie Webster. I've had her here on my channel on YouTube. So you've met her, or you can meet her if you go check out our videos together. Her company produces telesummits as well. So that's a really great strategy. Of course, you can always quote unquote buy a list. I'm not a fan of that. I don't recommend it, especially if you're actually buying a list of emails. That's illegal. They have to opt into your list for you to be able to market them. But you can buy traffic on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. You can buy traffic by promoting some sort of offering, some sort of valuable thing that people opt into your list for. And your webinar itself can be a lead magnet. Your webinar itself, if you've got a compelling topic and title and description, which we're going to talk about in maybe the next video, if not the one after that, that can help you generate people onto your list, onto your email list. Now, before I go any further, I do want to invite you please to like this video, subscribe to my channel, shoot me a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. All right, so we've talked about the very first thing you must have to have an effective webinar. We've talked about your audience, building your list, if you have a list, if you don't have a list, all of that. That's really important. And in a future video, we're going to dive deeper into marketing and promoting your webinar. But first things first, if you have an audience, great. If you don't, there's other ways to do this. The second thing you must have is excellent, compelling webinar positioning. And that's the topic actually of the next video. Webinar positioning is all about the title of the webinar, the value proposition, the promise of the webinar itself, and the description, how you're positioning the webinar in your industry, in your field. The third thing you've got to have is great content. Now, that's my personal opinion. I know that seems kind of obvious. Maybe to some of us it's obvious, but a lot of webinars out there actually don't have great content. They're just a really long, extended sales pitch. I've already talked about that, so I'm not going to belabor it. But in my opinion, the way to build actual trust to sell a coaching program, you're not selling, a supplement to lose weight. You're not selling a tool to relieve your neck and shoulder pain, right? These are kind of impulse purchases. You're selling coaching. You're selling a relationship. You're selling your expertise as someone who can help somebody get to the next level of their business, their career, their wellness, whatever, their spirituality, whatever it is. A coaching relationship is a much bigger deal than selling like a $30 or $50, product, right? You're selling coaching. That's why you're here. So if coaching is the thing you're selling, in my opinion, you want your webinar to have really, really excellent, high quality content and to deliver value even if they don't buy anything from you. The fourth thing you've got to have is a juicy offer. A juicy offer means something that has a clear outcome, a clear value proposition, and something that they're really going to want, and by the end of the webinar, they're going to know that they need it. Now, here's the thing. When you're selling coaching, particularly if it's high-ticket coaching, if it's a high price point, when I say high, I mean about $2,000 or more. If your price point is high, is in that range, I would recommend making your juicy offer, making it the next step, not trying to sell the program on the webinar itself, but instead to make the juicy offer the strategy session or the discovery call with you, rather than trying to go straight to the sale on the webinar. And that's because I find that people are less willing, I think everybody knows this, less willing to make a big investment like that from a webinar unless they already have a lot of trust built up with you, which takes us back to that first conversation we had in this video about your list. If your list loves you, if they're ready for what you've got, if they're asking you like, when's your next program coming out? Like, I really want to buy something from you. I really want to work with you. Okay, great. Then go ahead and make an offer. But if not, you might be better off. In fact, I'm gonna guess that you would be better off, instead of trying to sell the program itself, to sell the strategy session with you that leads to the program, like a sales conversation or some sort of discovery type call. And you can even charge for that call. So let's say your program is $2,500 or $3,000. You can sell that strategy session for $100 or $150, and that way you're only getting the most qualified people. into that next step. Now we'll talk about that more when we talk about offers, but just remember, you want to have a juicy offer. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people say, well, webinars don't work. And as I start to dig in with them, it's like, well, they didn't make a powerful offer. They didn't have a juicy offering that they made with clarity at the end of the webinar. So that's really, really important. That's it. That's the 4 things that you need to have. And we're going to dive into each one more specifically, but I wanted to lay out that framework. And then now in the next video, this is what I'm inviting you to, watch the next video where we're going to talk about how to craft your compelling webinar, aka masterclass, title, topic, and description. Let's go.